Another year, another list of my top 10 games. 2025 was jam-packed with great video games. For every great experience I had, there were two others that I just didn't have time to get to. My last video was on every game I wanted to play for the rest of 2025, and I was only able to get around to 5 out of the 25. So yeah, needless to say, I'm sure I missed out on some absolute classics this year. 2025 was just an incredible year for video games. Well, for the games at least. The business side was just as much of a mess as always. So without any further ado, let's jump into my top 10 games of 2025, starting with After an honorable mention in last year's top 10 video for Shadow of the Erdtree, From Software returned to the Lands Between with their first attempt at a multiplayer-focused Souls-like. Is it any surprise that it's pretty damn good? Where Elden Ring focuses on a grand, sprawling adventure, Night Rain, pardon the pun, reins in that experience to a tight 3-night structure that functions more as a roguelike. It takes all of the weapons, spells, and items from the base game and puts them into a blender, tasking you with assembling the perfect build before you face the final boss of the run. I've platinumed this game twice, once solo and once in trios, and I can say that either option is a valid way to experience this experiment, especially after the patches that have toned down some of the more unforgiving elements of solo play. But trios with two friends is the way to go here. I can't even describe how much fun my friend group had perfecting a run's pathing or locking in to clutch up on a boss when all hope seemed lost. The boss design is incredible, with each boss having an even harder variant with entirely new movesets to learn, and each class has a real use in team play that actually incentivizes communication. Where the game falters, however, is in its roguelike elements. There just isn't enough variety from run to run to help shave away some of the monotony of seeing the same bosses and map over and over again. If you're like me, at a certain point you'll wish you could just forego the preparation phases and jump right into the run's final boss. With some tweaking to this formula, FromSoft could have something truly incredible here to add as another pillar in their portfolio. But until then, Elden Ring Night Rain is a really good time. Here's hoping the Duskbloods learns a lot of these lessons. We might even see it in 2026's video. One of the most underrated aspects of any 2025 game is Mario Kart World's soundtrack. If it weren't for one other game on this list, it would have easily been my favorite of the year, as the composing team were absolutely in their bag here, remixing old Mario tracks with brand new arrangements and even creating new bangers. Seriously, the main menu music stands toe-to-toe with Mario Kart 8's as an instant Nintendo classic. Big shout out to lead composer Atsuko Asahi. But how is the gameplay, I hear you ask?
Is it bad to say that it's just more Mario Kart?
Now, this is no slight against the game. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is one of my top 10 favorite games of all time, and World does a great job at attempting to follow up that masterpiece with new mechanics and ideas. Some of them, like Knockout Tour and costumes, feel as though they'll be series mainstays, while others, like rail grinding and its open world, feel a bit gimmicky and uninspired. But you can't pretend this game isn't oozing with personality, from the updated gorgeous character designs and animations to the absurdly great track design. At its core, Mario Kart World delivers on the one thing it needed to most, being a damn fun party game. I have countless hours spent in both versions of Mario Kart 8 with friends and family, and World is already a successor that doesn't aim to replace its predecessor, but to stand as an additional entry into a series of kart racing joy. Also, I became a Daisy main. Not really sure why that happened.
Rosalina, please forgive me.
It really can't be understated how much Sucker Punch has come into their own as an A-tier PlayStation studio. I loved the Infamous games as much as the next guy, but the jump in quality when they set their sights to the past was undeniable. And now, 5 years later, they've proven yet again how well they can craft not only an open world, but also a compelling and emotional narrative. Atsu's story of vengeance against the Yotei Six who murdered her family is incredibly well written, not only in its twists, turns and bombastic action set pieces, but also in the quieter moments that brought a tear to my eye more than once. Those moments of reflection on grief, revenge, and what makes life worth living when everything is lost were incredibly gripping, and all brought home by an incredible performance from Erika Ishii. And it does all of this while also refining the combat system introduced in Tsushima. The introduction of different weapons instead of different stances, and the ability to throw a fallen enemy's weapon perfectly encapsulate Atsu's desperation to bring her family's killers to justice. She is willing to use anything at her disposal to get by, and it's perhaps one of the best examples this year of a gameplay change being used to accentuate a game's character work. I have some issues with the quest system and the sameness of some of Yotei's open world activities that feel a bit copy-pasted from Tsushima, but man is it hard to care when the visuals of the world are this damn flawless. I mean, look at how pretty these colors are. Ghost of Yotei is a great video game and continued proof that if you haven't been putting respect on Sucker Punch's name, it's time to fix that. Also, if Queen's Blood from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was 2024's minigame of the year, 2025 belongs to Zeni Hajiki. Atsu has lost thousands to some of Yotei's gambling dens. Surely I just need one win to start earning it all back, right? God, I should never gamble real money. What happens when you take the RNG-based runs of a roguelike and combine them with the mind-bending brain teasers of a puzzle game? Well, 9 times out of 10, you'd get a frustrating mess. That other 10% is the brilliant Blue Prince. Tasked with finding the 46th room of a 45-room mansion, you'll be drafting rooms from a pool of floor plans, solving small one-off single-room puzzles, and praying for that perfect run. However, it's the overarching puzzles that exist beyond just one room that make this a truly special video game. All it took was for one large puzzle to completely open my mind to what the game was asking of me, and subsequently broke my mind in a way that made me realize that I already had the answer to a bunch of other puzzles, I just didn't even realize it yet. Blue Prince is deliberately esoteric. It doesn't hold the player's hand through anything and demands copious note-taking, even if those notes make you look like a fucking crazy person. By the end, I was jotting down every small observation, hoping that it would come in handy at some point, and wildly enough, a lot of the times they did. The esotericism extends to even the story of the game itself and requires taking notes on characters, dates, events, which was way beyond how far I was willing to take this journey. Did this stop me from completing every puzzle laid before me? Absolutely, but that never stopped me from rolling credits and feeling as though I had overcome a mighty obstacle I wasn't sure I would be able to surmount. And that's not even mentioning some of the post-game puzzles. Those are insane. No, I haven't solved every mystery of Mount Holly, but that always gives me something to go back to. There are certainly mysteries I have yet to unravel, but aren't those always the best kind? There was a good stretch of time in August there where this felt like a shoo-in for my game of the year. Caught up in the excitement surrounding the Switch 2 and finally getting a new game from the Mario Odyssey team, I was completely sold on this being the game that would hold that coveted title. Now, months later, I think some of that initial excitement has waned. But don't get me wrong, Donkey Kong's 3D reinvention is still fantastic. The innovative game design and control scheme have continued to hold such a special place in my heart. The way Donkey Kong is able to destroy just about everything in a level, allowing me to create new solutions to problems that don't just feel like the way they were designed to be solved, harkens back to that same feeling I had playing Breath of the Wild. Nintendo has grown accustomed to giving their players tools to work with and asking them to get creative with how they use those tools. There's a reason the term Nintendo Magic gets thrown around as often as it does, and from the music to the level design and to all those cute little callbacks and details they package into every moment, this is an absolute barrel blast to play and kept me believing in that magic. Perhaps Bonanza's most crowning achievement, however, is the way it reinvents the collectathon. As a starch defender of the subgenre, I was so damn happy to find that there are literally hundreds of banana gems to collect. But I was also shocked to find that those collectibles aren't needed at all for progression, instead opting to use them as fuel for your skill points. It's this player freedom not only in the game's fluid movement, but also down to its very progression system that expands the collectathon and makes it much more approachable to people who don't want to collect everything to 100% completion, like a freak. I am that freak. Before Bonanza, Donkey Kong hadn't had a 3D game since 1999. And now, 24 years later, I'm glad they finally let him off the bench. And I'm hoping this team is able to expand on the King of Swing's new design ethos for years to come. Yeah, it's really only a shame that Nintendo couldn't swing getting Seth Rogen back to reprise his role from the Mario movie.
Pauline, we gotta get to the center of the earth!
Oh my god, I am so sorry. I was pretty much sold on the Switch 2 from the moment I heard there was a new Mario Kart coming, but if that hadn't been the case, knowing that it was my only way to play Hades 2 on console at launch would have sold me anyway. The original Hades was an incredibly special video game that changed the indie landscape as we knew it, popularizing the roguelike in a massive way. Thankfully, Hades 2 improves upon its predecessor's gameplay and core roguelike mechanics in nearly every conceivable way. The boons from your Olympus-based kin feel as though they have much more synergy with each weapon's unique playstyle. The Arcana system is incredibly fun to play around with and build out in different ways, and just when you think you've got a handle on the route down to the underworld, another path opens up that makes you realize I've only been playing half of the game. In fact, the only thing that hasn't improved is the storytelling. The story here isn't bad at all, but it certainly never reaches the highs of the original's very personal stakes, at least to my tastes. The presentation of that story, however, is on another level. There are so many different lines of dialogue from every NPC you meet. Each time you do anything in the game, you can bet your companions will have something to say about it, all fully and brilliantly voice acted, making the Crossroads feel like a living, breathing world. Last year I said that each year I'm fully consumed by a one more run type of game, and this year, Hades 2 fits that bill. Whether I was getting screwed by RNG, making stupid decisions that got myself killed, or even beating a run, I was always ready to get Melinoë back in the action, even if my sleep schedule was begging me not to. I'm not sure if Supergiant has more plans for this series, as Hades 2 feels like the formula perfected, but even if we never dive back into this beautifully realized world of gods and monsters, I'll be eagerly awaiting whatever they decide to make next. Rip and tear, baby. Rip and tear. There are few gaming joys out there quite as simple as Doom. There's just nothing quite like its mix of hyper-violent demon-slaying action and pulse-pounding metal soundtracks. While I think there was some hesitation going into this third iteration of the reboot series, especially after seeing that the pace of the game had been slowed significantly from Eternal's breakneck, high-flying action, what Dark Ages brings to the banquet table is thrilling in its own right. Kinda to the point where I'm not sure how I would cope if the shield was ripped away from the Slayer in the next entry. The way id Software took the simple idea of a shield and was able to use it contextually for so many different purposes is nothing short of brilliant. Not only can you block oncoming blows, you can also parry specific attacks with the right timing, use it as a battering ram, throw it into a large demon to stun them, and even use it for some light puzzle solving. And this level of player skill expression extends to nearly everything else in the game as well. There are multiple weapons with their own alt fire, which change the way they function, as well as multiple upgrades that can be switched around at will to build up your perfect demon-crushing artillery just the way you like. And if you couldn't tell by now, Doom the Dark Ages is just badass purely for the sake of being badass. You get a giant mech that you use to punch demons so hard they explode. There are full sections where you ride a giant dragon with energy wings. I mean, this gun crushes up skulls and uses the shards as bullets! That's metal as hell! And sure, some of those more gimmicky sections don't offer the same level of player freedom as the on-foot sections, but they do offer thrilling breaks in gameplay that never outstay their welcome. Its story may be completely vapid, but it offers some insanely hype aura farming moments, and at the end of the day, that's all I'll really ever ask from Doom. With level and encounter design this immaculate, it would appear the future of this cherished franchise is anything but doomed. Yeah, I know, that was awful. I'm just gonna move on. The common sentiment I've seen from folks online trying to put Dispatch down is that it's just a superhero story with dick jokes. And yeah, sure, they're right, but that's not what makes Dispatch special. Dunk on those jokes as much as you want, but when the game is as tightly written and hilarious as this is, I'm willing to give the few jokes that don't land a very big pass. There were multiple laugh out loud moments throughout that I just don't often get out of video games, and even though its tone is often quite acerbic, the moments where things get serious were sweet and able to really pull on my heartstrings. I mean, look, I'm a complete sucker for James Gunn's underdog found family shtick, so I was already pretty predisposed to loving this. From the moment I first saw this take on the superhero workplace comedy, I was floored by its presentation and animation style. I mean, look at this. If you showed this to the average person, I'm pretty sure that they would guess that this was some Amazon Prime show or something. And the fact that you have Aaron Paul and Jeffrey Wright in the cast would only confuse them more. Stop telling them it's a video game. They're getting scared. Ad Hoc is a team made up of a lot of former Telltale devs, and while I really love a couple of their past catalog, they have clearly learned a lot from past mistakes. They stuck to their episodic release schedule, the game is performance issue free, and the adventure game style sections that Telltale had become known for are gone. In their place are management sim style dispatching sections that test not only your time management skills, but also how well you know your team. Sonar is intelligent, but weak. Prism is charismatic, but slow. Invisigal is agile, but also a complete ass. As I continued to build my familiarity with the team, Robert continued to build his relationships with them, and by the end, I was completely endeared to each of them. Ad Hoc, just a simple request. Can we please get a season 2 cooking? I mean, please? I am begging for more of this ragtag team of ex-villains. Of course, it wouldn't be a choose-your-own-adventure game without choices to make, and Dispatch does an incredible job of making each decision feel less like choosing between good and bad, and more like actual tough calls that would need to be made in this setting. There were quite a few times I watched as the decision timer ticked down, waiting for some third secret option that was perfect. But Dispatch isn't about perfection. It's about making the choice to try. It's about seeing that mountain of self-improvement and choosing to climb it every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. And sure, fine, okay, it's also about dick jokes. For years, the gaming world was waiting with bated breath for Silksong. Every Nintendo Direct, every Summer Games Fest, every Game Awards, you would see countless folks on the internet preparing the clown makeup for when Team Cherry would inevitably refuse to show their faces. It was certainly a long time coming, but now that it's finally here, I couldn't believe that a game this long in development, this anticipated, lived up to the hype. So few games can actually match the level of excitement fans have built up around them. But it's the ones that do, which find their names forever in the annals of gaming history. Hollow Knight Silksong is one such game. Equal parts a masterclass in Metroidvania level design and thrilling 2D combat, this core team of 3 blew me away from the moment I stepped foot in Farland. Every room is handcrafted to serve not only the joy of traversal, but also the underlying story, to the point where none of its admittedly gigantic map feels out of place. And for as cute as Hornet and her group of bug companions are, there's a dark thread holding them all together. The exploitation of organized religion and the toll it takes on the less fortunate and faithful. It's told through the lowly bug's pilgrimage and the hollow opulence of the citadel high above them. And it's this narrative thread that brilliantly informs everything about Silksong. Rosaries are your currency. Rest within the workers' quarters is not free. enemies in the highest halls are brimming with absurd riches that the bugs below could only wish to scrounge together. I had heard about how wonderful the boss design was in the original Hollow Knight, but I was shocked to find that the storytelling here was just as strong. A week or so before starting Silksong, I'd actually started a list of my favorite bosses of all time, and by the end of Silksong, I had added 5 to the list. And that was me being picky, beyond just the beautiful creature design. The way the bosses telegraph their attacks just enough, allowing just enough of a margin of error, is brutal, but ultimately so rewarding to master. The final boss of Act 1 tested me in a way that I am not sure a 2D boss fight ever has. And they are far from the hardest boss in this game. By the end, each and every encounter felt like an absurd obstacle to cross, but one I was willing to hurdle every time, using Hornet's diverse and fluid moveset to best any zealot in her way. And it all culminated in a finale that was as emotionally satisfying to conquer as it was to watch play out. Silksong is a damn masterpiece, and any other year, it would have taken my top slot in a Game of the Year list. But this isn't just any other year. How do we move on from despair, from hopelessness? It's a question posed by Expedition 33 from the very outset. Lumiere is a town beset by a tragic curse. Each year, the paintress paints a new number on her monolith. Each year, everyone of that age is erased from existence. The only hope left for a world on a doomsday timer is to send their best and brightest out each year in an attempt to kill the paintress and stop the cycle of death and loss. It's on this doomed expedition that we're able to meet some of the best original RPG characters that I've seen in years. Each member so well realized and performed in their quest for answers and escape that it was hard not to become instantly invested in their mission and well-being. There's a reason Clair Obscur became the gaming darling of 2025. From the dreamlike design of the world, to the emotional, unpredictable story, to wearing its JRPG inspirations on its sleeve, the gaming world at large was enraptured by this underdog story, not just of the Expeditioners, but of the developers as well. Expedition 33 was a game that never felt as though it could ever be as good as the trailers made it seem, but against all odds, they were able to compose a work of art so compelling that the world will be talking about this as one of the great turn-based RPGs for a long time. The way the game blends active battling like parrying and dodging into its turn-based combat may be nothing new, but I would argue that they've perfected it. The sound design on nailing a parry is so rewarding, and the game continues to add new contextual counters as the game continues, turning what would otherwise feel like a battle solely of the mind into a flowing dance of both reflexes and wit. The Lumina and Picto systems, while definitely a bit messy, allow for complete character customization. Any one of your party can be built out however you like, with the only limit being your Lumina point count and your own imagination. Support, tank, glass cannon, it's all possible with just a little bit of work. It's a lot to pour over, but is well worth the time you invest into it, even if it could go for a little bit of cleaning up. Oh, and when I was mentioning earlier that one game had Mario Kart World beat as far as soundtracks go, if it wasn't obvious, this is it. I'm not someone who usually listens to scores divorced from the context of a movie or a video game, but for Lorient Testard's masterpiece, I had to make an exception. The music here tells the story just as well as the writers. The heartbreak, the determination, even the goofiness, it's all here and absolutely spectacular. It's this story that really makes Clair Obscur the masterpiece that it is. I was moved to tears several times by the triumphs and the failures of our intrepid expeditioners and what their story meant to me. How do we move on from despair, from hopelessness? Tomorrow comes, regardless of whether we're ready. Face it and fight. For those who come after. Well, there you have it, my top 10 games of 2025. If you've made it this far, thank you for sticking around. Let me know your game of the year in the comments, and continue to stick around. During production of this video, I've also been working on another video that's a little different from anything I've done on this channel yet. So stay tuned, and until next time, thank you for watching.